I always start off the show. Why don't you start off the show and welcome everybody for a change?
I could probably because you're nicer than me. Hey, welcome everybody to Trash Talk. Brandon Navarre here, Stuart Sachs, on a lovely Tuesday morning. We are ready to roll in with another awesome episode. Thank you for tuning in every week. We also want to remind you that while the government is trying to ban TikTok, we are still live on TikTok. So go ahead and check out our TikTok account, Instagram, Facebook. We don't have a Twitter.
The
And yeah,
YouTube.
YouTube, and make sure you go ahead and give us a follow and a like. Send in any requests, messages, concerns, comments, and we'll direct them to the appropriate
Yep.
staff.
Money works too.
Money works too.
Yeah. You want to just in fact, we'll just leave a hat on the front stoop. And if you want to just drop by and drop a few coins in the hat,
Yeah.
we'll be appreciative of that too.
Hmm.
We'll go out and we can buy more coffee.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. Summer Moon's got a brand new hat that I need. This one's
Yeah,
getting a little.
I just saw that. That's pretty cool. They've
Yeah,
also
yeah.
opened a couple of new locations, haven't
They
they?
do. Very nice. There's a second location in Frisco. There's a really nice one in McKinney, and they are still working on expanding their current one. There's work going on the inside. So
Yeah,
I should know I'm there too much.
yeah.
So
For those that are not in the Frisco area, it's fire brewed coffee. It's really
yes,
really different and got a great flavor. They're good people over there too. So
absolutely.
gave them a nice plug too. But,
Yeah. Well,
so
I should. They take care of me. So
we again every once in a while we like to turn the clocks back and think about stuff that we used to do as kids, and
mhm.
we were talking about just some of the stuff we used to do as kids that you probably could get arrested for today.
I
Maybe.
think the biggest thing too is like when you think about it, it's as you get older, some people say they forget things, and we do, but those memories come out of nowhere. Um,
Yeah,
you could be sitting there and maybe something reminds you of it, maybe a TV show. For me, it's Luke, maybe something Luke does something and it reminds me of my childhood, but sometimes it's really random. I could be in the shower, I could be at work, and then all of a sudden I get a memory so vivid. And those are those core memories that in my opinion, they imprint on you. They
right.
set some sort of message to you. That's why it's so very important. And I'll die by this statement. It's very important to give your children those core memories. And those core memories aren't exactly like, oh, I took them on this big trip. I bought them the new video games. That's not what I'm saying. Like Luke and I just did a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, I don't remember when. He was telling me the day before. And that's the thing with 6-year-olds, right? Like, you know, they don't always tell you everything till sometimes it's too late.
Right.
But I got an email, and their schools are always doing stuff. Most of it is usually trying to get some more money from you, but they're always doing events. And we don't always go partake in those events because, look, the kid just spent like 7.5 hours there. You think he wants to go back on a Tuesday just to get up and do it again tomorrow,
Right,
Um,
right.
but some events he's very much excited about. And there was an event they were having at night, and it was like a culture night. And I saw the flyer, and it was inviting families, friends to experience different cultures, food and dance and all that. And, whatever. He didn't mention it. It was on a random night that quite frankly, I didn't think that he would want to go, and he didn't mention it. And there was nothing in this flyer that said that he was going to be part of it, just inviting people out. Okay.
Uh-oh.
So the day before, he goes, Dad, I'm doing a song and a dance at Culture Night tomorrow. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, we've been practicing it. Our school has been doing, our art class has been focusing on Australia. Well, I've noticed that because I've been seeing the artwork. They've done boomerangs and koala bears.
Yeah.
And so but I just figured that was part of the lesson, right? And he said, yeah, we're doing it, and I'm like, well, do you want to go tomorrow? And he's like, well, yeah. And I'm like, okay, buddy. And I was like, let's make that happen. So his mom was going to have him that night. So I text her and she's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. We got this. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to take him. I said, I'm going to take him. you know. So I found out and I said, "Are you sure that you're involved? Like, I want to make sure he's getting the right story." Well, he was very adamant that they've been practicing a song and dance. So I called the
Yeah.
school up because I heard nothing from any teacher. And they're like, "Yeah, they're doing a song." And I'm like, "Well, this is kind of," and I might have had a few words. I said, "It's kind of crappy that
Didn't
you
send an
guys
email or
you
a
didn't
text.
send an email. You sent me an email for every other stupid thing under the sun, but you didn't send me an email about the fact that my kid's going to be in this. What if he didn't say anything and then we
Yeah.
miss out?" So anyway, wrapping it up, we go to it, and it was really cool. In the cafeteria, they had all these little stations from these families that we had. Family from Mexico, and they had this like display of like where their family came from. They
Oh,
had
okay.
sample,
Yeah.
yeah, they had samples of homemade food, of traditional food. Then we had this family from Pakistan. We had a family from Ireland, and man, it was cool. Like it was, and the kids were so
Was the
proud
Irish
of like.
family serving Guinness?
I wish I'm wearing a Guinness shirt, by the way. Um, no, they did the basic soda bread, um, but like, dude, I ate some empanadas. I had some spicy stuff from India. I don't know what it was, but it was great. We had tamales. I was like just eating, man. And then we went into the gym, and the kindergartners, we sat down, and his mom went. I need to specify that. I like the word stressify though. I'm going to keep that.
Yeah.
His mom went, so she got to make it, which was really cool. And they getting up to do his dance, and he just went with his buddies, and they did this Australian song, and he was out there into it. And I'm watching him, and I'm like, number one, he was proud to be there. Number two, he really wanted us to be there. And then they had it where they came back to North America, and we did a North American dance, and he came over and picked me, and I did the dance with them. And but I saw his face. Number one, I was happy. I'm gonna tell you that core memory made me happy.
Right, right.
But I saw his face, and it was different than opening a Christmas present. It imprinted on him. And I know that that's something that he's going to remember for a long time. And it gave him that joy that only those core memories could do.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think back, for instance, I was driving down the street in my neighborhood, and I had to put the brakes on because a ball rolled out into the street and a kid ran out to get the ball. And
Yeah.
as I pulled away, I thought, I remember those days where we used to play, because that was almost the closest playground you had was in the street.
It was in the
And then,
street.
yeah, but then they restricted that and you couldn't do it. And the cities would even put up signs saying no ball playing in the streets because it was a safety issue. Well,
Sure.
none of us ever got hurt.
We
People
didn't care.
drove more cautiously in those days anyhow. But I was thinking about how those core memories of how we used to play kickball and tag and everything in the street, running in and out of the parked cars and everything to play hide and seek and stuff
Sure.
like that. And it involved no equipment. It involved, no money. But it was just stuff, and we would do it for hours.
We used to do that too in the street. We used to play street hockey, and that was a blast. And then just the simplicity of getting on your bike, riding it around the neighborhood, around the street, or riding it to your friend's house, banging on the door, come on out. And you'd be you, me, you're like 3-4 of us. I remember my buddy Dan and Mike, they were brothers, my buddy Sean, and we'd be rolling around on our bikes, zipping around, going to the next sub, dropping them off. They'd be all lined up in the lawn, shooting some basketball, sitting in the garage until it got dark. And we didn't have a time frame. Our time frame was
Sunset.
Street lights come on, or it's dark, you better get home.
Or somebody's mom would go out on the back porch,
Start yelling,
and yell or ring a bell. And
done.
if one
Split up.
person's mom rang the bell, we
It was
all
time to go.
all time for everybody to go.
And it was daily. There was no plans.
Yeah.
There was no, you might have the plan occasionally, like, hey, we're going to go fishing tomorrow. Hey, we're going to go to the mall when we got a little bit older. But otherwise, hop on a bike, see who's around. And here's the thing. I remember that. I can remember what I was wearing. I can remember the basketball. I can remember my buddy's mom coming outside and giving us popsicles. Like those are so amazing to me because it was about that camaraderie. It was how you built the building blocks to friendship. And I remember some of those moments more than I remember the big moments, to be honest
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah. And in my neighborhood, because when I first was growing up in my neighborhood, they were still building houses. So there were empty lots. And you
Yeah.
used to get, like you said, get on your bike with your friends and you'd go over the empty lot and you'd build a mound of dirt and then you'd get a 2x8 or something and put it on the mound and you take turns going up the ramp and becoming
Going
an
up the
evil
ramp.
Knievel. Uh,
100%. We used to
and
do that, and we were big into building forts. So we had a lot of construction housing going around, and then at night we would take all the scraps and wood and stuff like that, and we would build really cool forts. We built this one fort in the middle of the field. We dug way underground, and I say way, I mean enough for almost up to stand up on, and
yeah,
then we put boards across, put dirt across. And we would just go chill under there. We'd have a little radio, we'd have some snackages, and we just hang out. And like the creative side and the fun moments and the experiences where this was you. This is Gen X, for me, Gen X,
right.
and this is people that before cell phones, before streaming services, when TV was a privilege.
And it was also before IKEA and all those others came out with the pre made kits
Yeah,
for
sure.
backyard forts. And
They were
you'd
too
have,
expensive anyway at the time, but
yeah,
they did have them.
yeah, I mean, we made it out of dirt and boards and logs and anything else we could get our hands on. Our imaginations, became the architects for what we did.
I'm big on core memories, and I know the moments, and then there's those moments that you never think are going to be that big of a deal, and then you realize it later in life when you grow to appreciate it or it comes back. But I'm big on core memories. I always look at it and I always wonder like which moments. I know certain moments with Luke. I know it.
Yeah,
One of them is kind of a big deal. When we went to Vegas together, he never stops talking about that. I mean, it comes up. He in preschool, they did a whole Dr. Seuss like thing, and it was towards the end of the year, and it said he has this little light bulb, and he decorated it, and they took his picture and they put it on the light bulb, and the question was, "Oh, the places you will go, what's the answer?" And he put Las Vegas. And there's a kid at 4 years old, 5 years old, talking about Vegas, and he remembers it. He remembers the hotel because that was his first hotel. He remembers being able to see the Jabberwockies and them pointing at him, and I love that because I was part of that, and he doesn't realize he just made another memory for me that I'll never forget.
yeah. We had swimming pools at the
Sure.
parks in the neighborhood. You had to travel because you weren't close enough. But we used to dig a hole and fill it with water. Or you remember when you had those inflatable plastic pools?
Oh yeah.
And I mean that an inflatable plastic pool to a 5, 6 year old is
Bro.
like an ocean voyage.
To a 45-year-old because we had
Yes, that's it too.
we got one last year that was pretty big and it lasted us all summer. And then we had a storm come in and I forgot to and it's dead now. But it was big and like, dude, there were times Luke and I, and you remember last summer, just a hot summer.
Right?
Man, we put the music on. We both got our Cody's from HEB, keeps our things nice and cold. We got snacks, we got music, and we're just sitting, both of us just chilling in the pool.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted to get out, I had the slip and slide to the next of it, and we go on the slip and slide. And I'm gonna tell you right now, that's a core memory, and it was that way back in the day because not everybody had a pool.
We had a sprinkler. You had a
Yes.
sprinkler in
Oh
the
yeah.
yard, and the sprinkler would go back and forth, and you just
I
run
love it.
back and forth through it all day. Those those those
Those
were
are
the core
great though.
memories. And now, you couldn't get, I don't think you could get a young kid to run through a sprinkler now. Instead, Dad, can we just spend about 80 grand and put a pool in the backyard? You know?
So we always go in sprinklers when we were living in the apartment, and they would turn on the water all the time. And especially during COVID when the pool was closed,
Yeah,
man, no, we went through the sprinklers.
yeah,
And Luke loves it. Even every now and then, right over here by the Frisco Library, we walked out one day and the sprinklers were on.
right.
And
Run through the
and
sprinklers.
so I threw the books in the car and we just went in our clothes through the sprinklers. I mean, that's what it's about, man.
Yeah.
And those little moments that we did as children, well, they give us that fuel to get through life.
I got one more for you, and you probably did it too. I lived on a parkway, and in the middle of the parkway there was a like a small grove of oak trees. Those oak trees became our pirate ships. You know, climb up there into the oak tree, you, like you said, take some snacks with you, and you'd be out there looking over the
Mhm.
neighborhood like you were looking over the ocean, looking for
Yeah.
pirate ships and stuff. And again, that was the thing. You'd have a rope that you would get to get up into the tree, and then when you left, you'd throw the rope up into the tree, so nobody else would do it until you came back. But what we could do as kids with a hole in the ground, with a mound of dirt, with, like you said, leftover construction materials, with trees, with just a stick in the street and a ball of any size, uh,
100%.
the imagination took over. And then that's what registers with you, and you want to share that with your kid.
And we do that now. Like there's been days where I'm like, especially like if we get those rainy days,
Yeah,
where I'm like, you know what? All right, dude, we'll go in his bedroom and then we just make a fort out of it. He's got the bunk beds. We're putting blankets down here. We got chairs,
right.
and you got this giant fort. Keep it up all day. Who cares? He goes to bed, whatever, and we spent the entire day away from the TV, away from the movies, away from the video games, and we had a blast.
And you remember it, and he will probably remember it, and he'll carry that forward too.
That's ideal.
So I think I'm going to go out in the backyard and dig up a hole and build a fort or something.
Feel like that's not going to go over very well, but you go ahead
Yeah,
and do
it might not, you know.
that.
But anyhow, you know, relish your childhood memories. Think about some of them, because we probably raised a couple of things that people that are following the show have said, yeah, I remember when I used to do that too. Because
Absolutely.
we all did it as kids, and the important thing is that you remember doing it as a kid, and maybe you share it with your kids or your grandkids.
Or sometimes you just have to do it. If you don't have kids, sometimes you just have to go and be a kid yourself.
That's right.
And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that.
That's right. And if you get arrested for it,
Who cares?
so what? Who cares?
So what?
All right. See you again next week.
See you guys.
Bye.